ethnic Mexican theatrical activity in the United States would have been the carpas.
Carpa literally means tent. These were tent shows that, it's almost like a Mexican vaudeville. They took their situation and didn't make light of it, but to some extent, they were trying to live with it. And you live with it if you can laugh with it.
You know, the carpa is part of a long tradition of popular theater, you know, the broad style of acting, larger-than-life characters, slapstick action, knockabout, comedy. That has long been, you know, a staple of entertainment for the common people all over.
Papá mío anunciaba, estamos en tal pueblito, los invitamos para que vayan a divertirse a la función esta noche. Y en la noche se juntaba así de gente. Y era un pueblito que nomás un garajito y una tienda, era todo. Pero la gente venía de todo alrededor de los ranchos. Y se llenaba la carpa. Hacíamos de políticas nomás, cosas que pasaban, sketches.
Un sketch.
Chistes.
Como cuando salía yo a decir chistes y luego cantaba una parodia. Me dijeron que salía conmigo, bueno, don Fito, para terminar esto, cántele, ¿qué tal le gustaría cantarle una parodia aquí al público? Y decía, está muy bien.
Carpa would put these things up on stage with a comedic flair. It was funny, and it was informative. Through comedy, you can make people cry, you can make people laugh, and you can make people think. Maybe you didn't get the politics of what they were saying because a lot of things were encoded. You had to know what was going on. But if you saw it just by itself, it was funny.
I love something so simple like what the carpas represent, and my students have an opportunity to learn about carpas as a theatrical history that's reflective of their culture. I'm interested in the pieces that have such an important message about our culture, and at the same time have all the ambiguities, all the complexities. Stories kind of find me. The story of Gus Garcia became the story that I wanted to tell. Here's someone who was the first Latino to argue a case in the Supreme Court and that dies homeless. Already that big leap was like, you know, tell me more about that.
In 1932, Gus Garcia graduated as the first Mexican-American valedictorian of his high school. A lawyer by age 23, he championed civil rights throughout his career.
This man was regarded throughout the entire profession as being the best guy on his feet, not just the best Chicano, the best guy on his feet that they ever saw in a courtroom. And his eloquence is renowned. He got that Hernandez v. Texas case heard by a warring court, which desegregated the whole jury system in Texas.
We stand for the future.
He created the Viva Kennedy in the 50s, going around in a big Cadillac and taking that skinny young Bostonian along the Valle.
The life of Gus Garcia seems ready-made for Greek tragedy or something. I mean, you have this person who rises to the height of, you know, of everything, and then his tragic flaw brings him down.
The idea that someone so big, so complex like Gus is a tent show. And I thought, there's a metaphor, La Carpa Garcia. Knowing that there was a real Carpa Garcia, I'm going to do it. I'm going to stay in the Carpa world. Pictures like even like the picking up or thing, you know, they have
the fact that they could tell their own stories with such little amount of money, making the props, you know, I can roll up my scarf and have this be my baby, have it be a direct connection with an audience, to have it be very circus-like, really presents itself for great play, I think, because it's very theatrical.
Your Honor, we do not file frivolous cases, but let all who would obstruct our social evolution take notice.
This has the social, the political, the spiritual, and the theatrical. The narrow focus of television and film has always given the short end of the stick to Latino characters. They're usually more like the hired help, or, you know, the stereotypes are very limiting. So out of sheer frustration is when I started to write and thinking, well, I want to tell my own stories. I can't wait around.
Stealing votes from the Mexican grave.
If we were going to tell our stories honestly, I wanted to be able to empower the characters so that they had a life.
If I ever want to what? Help the Mexican community. Are you kidding me?
Gustavo Garcia?
I've been drafted.
I've been hearing a rumor or two.
Yes, sir.
Against the wall.
It is a story that's, you know, kind of swept under the rug. And the fact that she didn't leave out the bad stuff, you know?
Gus was fighting for equality by claiming, hey, we're white too, and totally turned his back on the black.
Social stigma. You didn't object to segregation or the assumptions of white supremacy. What's the name of that organization?
The Black Civil Rights Struggle is kicking off 54, 55. But this is taking place, you know, starting in 30, 32, 40. I'd heard the name Gus Garcia before, but I didn't realize how far back this stuff was really taking place.
It's a great history lesson for the younger generations, because we've only been fed so many images. I'm talking about, again, popular culture images. And we are so diverse. We are so complicated. You know, that's why Gus, again, is a perfect character.
I'm a Mexicana, and my parents are actually from Kingsville, Texas, where a lot of the story took place. And my parents never talked to me about it. They never mentioned his name. And I think it's a perfect example of how today, right now, you know, Latinos don't really take a look at their history or talk about it.
He's been taking too many of these. Is he drinking alcohol with that? He's had a bad flu. Gus, hombre, wake up!
He was very much a hero. We know a lot more about alcoholism now than they did in the 60s. It is an illness.
Oh, how sad it is to say.
I feel like a part of a lot of what I write is still very much about the educating part of our culture. As I educate myself about it, that's the nature of what the Garpas did do. In the Garpa world, it's not black and white. It just is.